There's no set way to create an e-learning course, and there's no set way in which I create an e-learning course. But I'll share my knowledge with you and show you the way that I generally take. We're going to be covering why I choose e-learning, and in particular articulate storyline, over using something like a video for training. I'll show you the steps that I take to put together an e-learning course, and we'll cover the pitfalls of creating an e-learning course as well, things to look out for. If you're wondering about my experience, I've created my first course in around 2005-2006. I've literally created hundreds of courses using a wide variety of packages since then. So I've used Articulate Storyline, Adobe Captivate, Oracle UPK, Evolve, Learning Pool, Authoring Tool, and lots more. Courses range from company induction training, management training, financial systems, HR systems, health and safety, firing missiles from warships, and other things like that. So a real mixture. I've created a wide variety of training topics and to a wide variety of audiences as well. So I've got a good idea of things to share with you to help you learn from my knowledge. Let's look at the roles. Creating the e-learning course will vary from company to company and project to project. Recently, courses I've been creating have had on them a subject matter expert and a e-learning content creator, which is me. I am the creator for it. I work with a subject matter expert, the SME, and I develop the storyboard and eventually the e-learning course. But depending on the project, I might be working with a lot more people. So I've been in projects in the past where there's been a subject matter expert, there's been the instructional designer, there's been the e-learning content creator, there's been a graphic designer, there's been a video editor, and there's been an animator. And more often than not, you often have a project manager as well in charge of all of that. The instructional designer will work with a subject matter expert. The instructional designer will then create a very clear storyboard, often in Microsoft Word, detailing what's on each page, but also what every button does. So if you've got a button that says next, they will have a description saying this button will take the user to the next page. So it goes into great detail. And then the e-learning creator will build all of this. Once it's been signed off, the graphics editor and the video and animators will also be included, and they'll create all their content. They'll give it to the e-learning creator, and then they'll build the course again, including all these elements. It'll then eventually be signed off and then published. So there's different ways of creating this, because in the most recent projects I've been doing, I've been creating all the content, I've been looking for the graphics, I've been doing some graphic editing, I've been creating videos, I've been working with a subject matter expert. So it's just myself and the SMEs. Neither's right or wrong, it just varies depending on the topic and the project as a whole. E-learning or video. Well, just to be clear, I create both e-learning and videos, and I'm not biased to one or the other. They do have their advantages and disadvantages. For creating videos, I use Camtasia. I've been using lots of things over the years, so iMovie, Adobe Premiere Pro, a few other lesser known pieces of software as well, but Camtasia allows for everything that I need. So it's got screen recording built in, which a lot of the systems don't have. It's easy to use, has some nice functionality such as being able to highlight certain parts of the screen. It allows for zooming in and zooming out and transitions from one clip to another. It is an excellent piece of software. When would I not use a video editor or video recorder? Well, videos need voiceovers, and you can use subtitles, and in some cases you might want to use subtitles. If your video is going to be played in a loop on a company reception or in a canteen, then subtitles is a good idea. You can have some nice background music or no noise at all, and just have the subtitles playing along with the video. But if you want to get the most out of your video, you should have a voiceover. Things that you're going to need though, you're going to need a high quality microphone, you're going to need a quiet place to record, and you're going to find someone who's got a nice voice and is willing to do the voiceover. If you're going to be creating training in more than one language, then this can be a problem for your video. You'll need voiceovers in every language, and do you have someone who can do that? Do you have someone who can edit and translate the script and then have the ability to edit to the voiceover that matches the on-screen visuals? It can be very hard to do, and it's certainly something that I've found a challenge in the past. Additionally, if you've got someone who can speak another language and understand the script and they've edited it, are they confident in talking on a microphone, and will it sound any good with their voice? Alternatively, you can add in subtitles, but I found that the video needs to be slowed down quite a lot if you do this so that people can read the subtitles. This is actually a lot of work to do. I recently had a 5-minute video in English, and with subtitles added on, I added about an extra minute of time. So a 5-minute video became a 6-minute video, and it was still too fast for people to be able to read the subtitles and see what was happening on the screen. And that's another point as well. If you're doing system training with subtitles, they have to read and see where you're clicking on the screen. It can be quite difficult at times. So when would I use videos? Well, I like videos a lot. I use them a lot. They allow complex processes to be explained more easily than in e-learning, as you can talk and show what is happening on the screen. But all the user is doing is watching. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but it isn't offering any interaction. E-learning allows for interactive elements. This could be a quick quiz to test the user's knowledge, drag and drop activities, links to supporting documents. These are all elements that video cannot include. But don't forget that you can include a video within e-learning. E-learning is also easier to update. Changing a piece of text, adding in a page is all quite simple. It doesn't really impact the rest of the course. Making a small edit in a video though can take quite some time. You need to find a gap in the audio and you need to fit it in. Also, if the person who created the voiceover is no longer available, you'll need to add in a different voice. There's no definitive answers to which you want to use and when to use them. I use both all the time. I'll make the judgment of what needs to be used based on the task, the audience, when it will be used and where it will be used as well. Also the likelihood for edits to be needed. And you've probably heard the term blended before. Well, blended learning, it is a mixture of e-learning, videos, desk aids, questions and answer sessions, on-the-job training. Don't forget, an e-learning course or a video is just a tool to aid learning. And you might want to use multiple tools, like I say, including a video within the e-learning course. Storyboards. Storyboard is a way to design your training. It's a script. It's the draft version of what your final product will look like. Think of it like a comic strip but with more detail. You can create a storyboard using one of the many templates online or create your own template. But I would advise using PowerPoint as it's a very effective way of creating a storyboard, especially if you're going to be using Articulate Storyline as your e-learning software. The reason I use PowerPoint is everyone has PowerPoint on their computer and knows how to use it to a certain level. Very few people have Articulate Storyline on a computer. And you can import PowerPoint directly into Storyline. I've created a video on how to do this. Importing isn't perfect, but it is very, very, very good. It's certainly quicker than creating each screen from the beginning. Why not create the e-learning straight away? It would save you a lot of time if you could create the e-learning straight into Storyline. However, with it comes issues. Imagine you create the perfect course. You've got all your layers, your animations, transitions, triggers, variables, tests, and everything else set up. You send it for a review and the customer doesn't like it. They want screens deleted, different layers created, whole new sections created. They don't like the menu you built, or they do like it, but they don't want the information that's been included. They've had a change of mind. Considering that building one screen with text, images, interactive elements, layers, triggers and variables might take you well over an hour, you've just wasted a lot of time. So that's why you need to try and avoid those type of mistakes. Don't build straight into the e-learning course unless you are the subject matter expert and you are building it for yourself. In other circumstances, always use a storyboard. Build the screens in PowerPoint first. Have placeholders in place. Write in the notes what you think will be on each layer. That way, if the customer doesn't like it, then you've wasted less time as you've not created all the triggers, the variables and all the different layers. Yes, it still takes time to build it in PowerPoint. It's always going to take time to build it somewhere, but it'll be a lot quicker than building it straight to Storyline and then having the customer say to you that they don't want that screen. Also, though there's a review mode in Articulate Storyline 360 and a review mode is very good, it's not the same as letting people into it in PowerPoint. If they review it in PowerPoint, they can edit the text or image directly on the screen. They can move things around. They can, rather than saying change this text, they can just change it themselves. Just to be clear though, I do recommend that using Articulate Storyline review mode is very beneficial when actually reviewing the e-learning that you have built. But if you're at the storyboards phase, PowerPoint has lots of advantages when it comes to reviewing and editing. It's very common to use Word documents for your storyboards, and I've done many storyboards in Word documents. I actually like to use it at an early stage to get the information written down. Often this is where I'll create my storyboard as well, depending on the client, and also depending on how many other people are involved in the process. You could use a Word document for the storyboard, and there's no problem with that, but something to bear in mind is that on a PowerPoint, because a PowerPoint and Articulate Storyline are very similar, you know how much information is going to fit on the screen. If you do it in a Word document, you will get clients who will send you far too much information and say, we want this on one screen. Well, unless you're going to have a size 4 font, you're not going to be able to fit it all on one screen at once. So the PowerPoint, it's a very good visual way of doing the storyboard. Instructional words. Another element of the storyboard is deciding key instructional words. Will you be telling people to click next to go to the next screen? Or will you be saying go forward a slide? Are you going to call it a slide? Are you going to call it a screen? Are you going to call it a page? Are you actually saying click something, or are you saying select something? Select is seen as more inclusive these days, as if you've got a mouse, you'll be clicking something because you've got a mouse button to click with. But if the learner is using a mobile device, then they're not clicking, they're pressing, they're selecting. Just to add confusion to this, if you're doing IT systems training and a user should be double clicking something or right clicking something, you must say double click or right click, because that is the function in the software you're training them on. You don't say double select or right select. Double click is the answer. Another thing relating to devices that people are using is you need to consider what are they going to be using at the end of this training. For instance, an articulate storyline, you've got the ability to hover your mouse over an object. If you hover your mouse over the object will do something. So you'll bring up some text on the screen or open a layer. You can't hover if you're using a mobile device. A hover is linked to a mouse. You can't hover your finger over something. Nothing happens. So do bear this in mind. Also, if you're going to be including a voiceover or some audio, do people have the ability to listen to this? Do they have headsets? And do they have speakers? How is it going to be played in a room? Length of course. So 20 minutes really is your maximum length for an e-learning course. You shouldn't really be going over that. I'd argue less for a video, so really 10 minutes maximum. It depends though what you're going to be covering in there. So if you've got a course that requires lots of information, maybe break it down into several courses. So have a part 1, part 2, part 3. I have some videos that are well over 20 minutes, but they're often made up of several videos. They're clearly broken down with an index to show you what time the relevant part starts. So 3 minutes and 15 seconds, this is where you're going to learn this, allowing the user just to skip to that part of it. For e-learning, you might want to create different categories and different sections within the course. Within a section, you can break it down and say, well done, you've completed this section, this is what you've learnt. Now move on to go to the next section where you'll learn about X, Y, and Z. It just breaks down that 20-minute course into something a bit more manageable. The reason for keeping courses and videos shorter is to help the user retain the information to keep them engaged. Like I say, try your best to keep them shorter, 10 minutes or so for a video, 20 minutes or so for an e-learning course at maximum. If you've got a video that's 3 minutes long, it's 3 minutes long. If you've got a video that just can't be broken down and it needs to be that 15 minutes, then so be it. There's no hard and fast rule on this. Final tips. Good luck in building your e-learning course and your videos. Hopefully you have a better understanding of when to use each now, or certainly something to consider. And one last thing I would say is that when it comes to visuals on your e-learning, make sure you get some good visuals in there. Try and avoid those old clip art images from 1995. There's some really nice visuals available out there. And resize them, crop them, add effects to them. So for instance, if you've got a button, put a little shadow on it. Those type of things can make a little difference between e-learning looking quite average to making it looking very good. So best of luck with all your e-learning and video building.